We have truly hit the turning point in this save. Season 6 was filled with so many surprises. Our first season in First Division Portugal, an incredible cup run, and a Canadian World Cup journey that happens at the end of this video that you guys do not want to miss. Let's get straight into Season 6. There's nothing left for me to say. It's gonna be a good one. Alright guys, Season 6, and it's our first season in the First Division of Portugal. A lot more open, a lot more easy for us to develop talents, and we have a plan to create a really established First Division Portuguese team now that we're here. The whole goal this season is just not to go down, but, you know, I have finished the season. We'll be recapping it over 3 parts in this video, so I kind of know what happens, and it's an exciting one, and I have a very fun, like I mentioned in the intro, World Cup recap at the end of this video. That's going to happen in the summer of 2030 in this save. But let's begin on where we are started. It's our first season in the First Division, like I mentioned, and just to go over some rules for the league. 1st through 6th qualify for Europe in this league due to our 6th place coefficient spot for the League of Portugal in Europe. First 2 spots are Champions League proper, with a 3rd place spot a Champions League qualifying round. 4th place is Europa League proper. 5th place is Europa League proper, and 6th place is Europa Conference League 3rd qualifying round. So you'll have to play 1 or 2 qualifying games to get into Conference League proper. Also, of the Taça de Portugal placard, which, you know, we've only gotten to the semifinals once against Sporting last season. That was our deepest run. You get to go to the Europa League if you win this one as well. So something to keep in mind as the season goes on. As for the other teams joining us in this First Division, you'll see a little bit of how we've gotten on to start the season, a good start. But the teams that we are playing in this division are Porto, Braga, Sporting CP, Benfica, who are our senior affiliates, but we do not know if that will be terminated now that we are in the same division as them. I've seen it happen sometimes, and I've seen it stay despite being in the same division. We'll have to see as the season goes on. Portimonense, Gil Vicente, Casa Pia, Rio Ave, Alverca, Estrela de Amadora, who we're very familiar with, Aruca, Trafense, Vitória de Guimarães, Boa Vista, Estero Praia, Famalicão, and Santa Clara, Azores region neighbors. And the funny thing is, since we needed a bigger stadium for First Division this year, we're actually playing at Estadio João Paulo II, which is a stadium that is on the island, not where Rabo de Peixe resides, the São Miguel Island, but the island where Santa Clara plays. So we are truly neighbors for them, and we will be playing on this field. So every game, our fans and players have to take a ferry, or I think someone in my chat said they take planes now. There's like a daily plane that goes from island to island or something like that. But more of a rivalry with Santa Clara than we had in the past now that we're sharing the island. Without further ado, we can get into the transfers that are going to help us for our first season in First Division. So if we head over to the transfer history, like it has been throughout most of these seasons, we're not really spending a ton of money on players. That's not really the goal here. It is to develop youngsters and to bring in Canadians, veterans to help as well. So we've kind of done a little bit of both. The only money we've spent on a player is Diego Onyos, 46,500 from Carvinha in the Czech Republic. I found him because he was a Portuguese player from Ribeira Grande, which is one of the bigger municipalities here on the São Miguel Islands. We're really struggling for wingbacks and really just wingbacks. He's kind of a wingback hybrid. He's going to probably play on the B team for the first season and then probably be a backup moving forward and possibly a starter with his good speed and a few good mental abilities like his bravery. Obviously, he needs a lot of development, potentially a second division player, so maybe a little bit of an overpay, but sometimes to get some of these players who we can help develop and are from the island, I'm willing to pay a little bit more of a price just because they're kind of harder to come by. So excited for him as a wingback. Then we have a number of free players. The first are going to be created players, like I mentioned in the Discord and on my streams. You can become a player in this save. They just have to be partially Canadian if you ever want them to be on my team, or you can make a player in the save or a coach and they can just be a part of the universe. So here are a few of them. Henry Rampley is an English-Canadian center back who is 16, came from the Hamilton Serbians. He's going to be a backup for a little bit on the B team and develop slowly. We have Luca Wevin, who is an incredible wonder kid, Canadian-Ecuadorian dual national, and the created coach is also in this save in Don Wevin, who is his father in the save. This is a coach and son combo created by Chatter Wevin in our community. He is a Ecuadorian Canadian coaching Covidea Piedade in the 4th Division of Portugal, and then this is his son, Luca Webben. There's a way to upgrade the players through chat, and he has been able to do that a ton. We'll see if he picks Canada or Ecuador. He was born in Ecuador, so he's probably leaning that way, but an exciting player who will probably be a backup attacking midfielder for us this season, but might develop on the B team a little bit too. The next one is Lucas Peelman. Another similar player, a Belgian-Canadian dual national who's a bit of a mercenary. Finally finds his way here at Rabo de Pêche, but he will be on loan at Elvas. Next is Antonio Marias, a versatile wing/attacking midfielder from Santa Clara. He is from the island as well, Ribeira Grande. We picked him up on a free to be a B team backup. We also have Ross Denholm, who is an incredibly tall, should be playing center for the Canadian national team, not a center back, but a 6'10 created center back from Alpha F1, who is developing well, and we'll see. Maybe he can be the Kyle Hudlin of defense on this team eventually, but he will develop on the B team this season. And then we have Kevin De Fruyne. So this is a real player in the save. He wasn't created, but he was renamed by one of our chatters. But we found this guy through a little bit of player search scouting, using some stats, and he was absolutely balling in the Portuguese non-professional divisions, the non-league divisions. 4 seasons of starting and multiple goal contributions in the double digits over the season. So we decided to bring him on a free. I think my plan for him is a little bit of B team time and then a 3rd division or 4th division loan and then a 2nd division loan. And then hopefully on that 3rd season, he can join us as a first team player. He needs a little bit of development. Great technically and mentally for his level. But we just need to develop him, and he needs playing time at a professional level before he joins us on the 1st division roster. And then finally, a really exciting one. This guy is an incredible set piece taker for the Canadian national team and brings us a very versatile squad player that can play volante, wing back, attacking midfielder, whatever we need him to be. So a great veteran who has been a part of the Canadian national team a little bit, hasn't ever come to Europe to play yet, was at Montreal, San Jose, and the LA Galaxy in the save, is going to be a key squad player for us this season and hopefully in the following season. But Matthew Chonieri, who actually plays for Grasshoppers in real life, but doesn't really get on the field too much. So hopefully we can change that for him in this version. In terms of transfers out, really just one big one outside of loans. Ali Ebrahimi was that Toronto FC Academy center back that we had for a few seasons, and the transfer officially went through. He was sold to Almer City for $130,000. We did mention it a little bit in the last video, but that has gone fully through, and he's going to be a starting center back in the Eredivisie. He didn't want to re-sign with us, so we decided to cash out on him a little bit early. We got him for free, made $130,000, and you never know, he could end up on the roster down the line if he is a free agent or is on a free and we're in need of a center back. But this is the whole point of this save. We're a stepping stone club, so no need to hang on to players longer than they want to be here. We can find guys to replace them, and that's the fun of it. Outside of that, we also let go of Benjamin Laternis, the Swedish-Canadian. I'm kind of mixed on the players who aren't declared for Canada right now because I'm not playing as a Canadian national team coach, so I can't really convince them to play for us. So I'd rather just let them play somewhere else. We sold him to a lower division Swedish team, or no, we didn't. We sold him to another Portuguese team in the 3rd division where he'll probably be a backup. We basically sold him for nothing just so he could get his contract off of our books. And, he played 12 games for us last season on a free. He was fine. I just didn't really want to pay his big contract to keep him on as a backup, so we let him go for like $675. Outside that, Rodro Carajola, who is from our academy, left to Fontinhas on a free, and then we have a ton of players out on loan trying to develop. I think the biggest one really is, there's 2. Charlie Darlington, who is a pretty good big-bodied center back who I'd like to be a backup in the future. We will have to see. His contract expires at the end of the season. I'm probably going to extend it, but I want to see him develop well. And then Nico Velli, who is from our first intake ever. He needs to score 7 goals this season to be an impact sub for next season. Will I actually, make that promise go through if it happens? Depends on how many goals he scores over 7 and what our striker position looks like for next season. But I really want this guy to develop because he's one of the OGs and he's got a good basis of skills, I would say, for a intake player from when we were in 4th division. So I'd love for him to be a nice success story here. So those are most of the transfers. It's really nothing too crazy for this team. The squad isn't too different from the second division team outside of some, key backups coming in because I felt we were very successful in Division 2, and I think this team can stay up. So let me show you kind of my thought process for the squad this season. So I like to keep around a 20 to 21 man roster when we're not playing in Europe. I think that's enough players for a first division team as well as a cup team, playing at the same time. And we're going to be switching between the 5-2-2-1 and the 5-2-1-2. We've been playing this a little bit more to start the season, and this is where we'll go through the starting lineup. So up top, we have Osaze de Rosario, our leading goal scorer last season in second division, playing that pressing forward next to Andy Howard, who was kind of an attacking midfield wing hybrid. We're going to be playing him as an advanced forward to start the season, and he's been playing it pretty well with 2 goals and 1 assist to start the season. He has gotten some interest, like just some sneaky interest, but no bids from some clubs in Liga MX as well as some other clubs in Europe. So it might be hard to keep on a hold of him. We will have to see moving forward into the season, but a very, very special and pacey player who is in the Canadian national team conversation already with 2 caps. And as the season goes on, you'll see how that progresses. Simon Colin is behind them, one of our veteran attacking midfielders who had a great season last season. In the midfield, we have Yannick Schultz-Tremblay, who's really trying to solidify himself as that midfielder who can be a ball progressor. The only thing is he's not really great at dribbling, but he is good at passing. And next to him is our longtime standing academy kid, DM Bruno Carajola. To the left wing back is Lino Aklil, formerly of Montpellier. You guys know him. A little bit injury prone, but still holding down that left back spot with Helder Frutuoso, the club captain, on the right, and a familiar back 3 from last season outside of Dave Terr. Paulo Henrique, the veteran in the middle cover role. Alex Murray, who has been breaking into the national team as well with 2 caps. And finally, the biggest surprise for the national team at Canada, Dave Terr, who had a really good I would say overall had a good season in League 3. Average rating says 6.76, but it allowed him to get into the Canadian national team setup with 10 caps and a goal already. So he is going to be our starting left side center back this season. I think he has earned it. And then Max Anchor is going to be in between the sticks, our long-term standing goalkeeper. Behind him, Bernardo Resende joins the main team fully as the backup goalkeeper again. Arthur LaBelle, the plug-and-play wing attacking midfielder striker who will compete for Simon Colin and, for that position as well as when we're playing this, if D-Row plays or Howard doesn't play. It's really a 4-man rotation between LaBelle, Colin, Howard, and D-Row. So there's a lot of plug-and-play things that we can do there. Luca Wevin will also be a backup. He'll probably go in between the B team and this team. He has an injury too, so he's not super sharp going into the start of the season. Sandro G is a guy we've developed over the years, 37 appearances over his career. And he is one of our OG intake players as well. So very versatile. He's kind of like Chonieri, but more just up the middle, so he can play a bunch of different spots. So we're going to have him on our bench. Again, Chonieri, we talked about him. Versatile squad player. Marcus Gomez was a big surprise from last season, playing a ton of games, 21 games, 6.96, and has a really good start to this season with 5 appearances, 1 goal, and 2 assists. Like I said last year, not a lot on paper and is unambitious, but in second division, he played really well. So we're going to give him another try here in first division. Noah Botnay is kind of like that defensive version of a squad player that can play center back and both wing back spots and full back. So we're going to keep him on the bench this season again. Moise Bombito kind of lost. He was the starter last season, and this was kind of our combo. That's why they do so well together. But we'll rotate them. Dave Terr, is more of a development player and is in the Canadian conversation, so I want him to start over Bombito this season, but Bombito should probably get in a little bit. And then finally, Luke West is going to make his full season debut as a backup this year. He's very young. He's a little bit slow, so that's why I'm kind of hesitant to start him, but he has a lot of potential, so I want to develop him well this season. He's probably our biggest get from the non-league Canadian seasons. He didn't do great on the B team, but in order to get him a little bit better as a 19-year-old, I don't want to loan him out this season because outside of Bombito as a backup center back, we don't really have other options, and a Botnay plays multiple positions. So Luke West is going to sit on the bench, and it's really between him and Bombito for the primary backup center back spot. So I want that competition on the team. So that's kind of what we're lining up. Very, very similar in terms of tactic again this year. I don't want to change it up going into our first division season. I don't want to, playing from back behind, giving the other team the ball. I want to play our aggressive style and just be okay with what happens, because I think that should be able to keep us up. I think that style of play can keep us above 3 other teams, to be honest. So to kind of show you how things are going so far, it has worked. We have played 5 games so far, and we are undefeated, 3 wins and 2 ties. We started off the season with a 1-1 tie against Alverca Osaze de Rosario with a nice pen. And then we would go on to win 1-0 against Trofense. Yannick Schultz-Tremblay, our new starting midfielder, really solidifying this first division spot. Player of the match with a 65th minute goal here. Howard finds Gomez, who's streaking down the right, and he's going to square it to a late running Tremblay. That's what you love out of a 8 right there. Just arriving into the box late, finding the space in between, and just hitting a hard shot home. 1-0 against Trofense, things you absolutely love to see. 4-2 against our island rival Santa Clara. So that was a really fun one. Really happy to see us win this game as well. Osaze de Rosario with a player of the match, 2 key passes, 1 clear-cut chance, and a goal. Paulo Henrique, Andy Howard also on the goal scoring. I'll show you Andy Howard's goal because I'm really, really excited about this guy. This is probably the best player that we have recruited from Canada, I would say, as a new gen player. He's just so fast. You can't teach 17 pace, and look at the touch on that goal. Special kid. I think he's going to be part of the Canadian setup for a long time. We would then go on to beat Familcao 3-0. Yannick Schultz-Tremblay, Colin, and Howard with goals, and then a tie against Aruca 1-1. So we're yet to get our draw in the Cup, and we were knocked out in the Alliance Cup. That's one thing to mention, because that happens in the preseason. 1-0 loss to Rio Ave in the Alliance Cup. That's the real money-making cup in Portugal, so I was disappointed to see that happen. So, yeah, loss away. We're out of the Alliance Cup. Maybe it's okay for us. I mean, that's only like 2 additional games, and then maybe there would only really be 4 additional games on the season, so it's hard for me to say, like, oh, now we get to play less games and be okay in First Division. It's disappointing. 1-0 loss. Jason Bonilla scores that. I will show you that, and then we can get into the mid-season check-in. I will, I don't shy away from the bad moments in this save. Oh, Max Anchor just caught flat-footed, and no one really covered Bonilla. So what are you going to do about that? 1-0 loss, and we are out of the Alliance Cup. So pretty solid start for us in the First Division. You can't complain too much about that. Will we stay up there? Probably not. We tend to start hot. These teams don't really know us the way that we know, the Second Division teams. So we're kind of the new kids on the block. We're playing aggressively, so it's nice to see that we're doing well. The season preview says we should be 17th. And we're only joined by one other promotion team in Estrela de Amadora as well. So if you kind of take a look at this, Estrela are safe right now, and so are we. Hopefully both of us can stay up together. That's always fun. And as much as I say Santa Clara is our rival, I would love for them to stay up with us just because, I would love 2 Azores region teams in the First Division. So let's go into the mid-season recap and see how the team has gotten on throughout the season. And then, I'll see you in 1 second. All right, so mid-season check-in. We have a good amount to report on. Osaze de Rosario, top goal scorer through the halfway point with 13 goals. Luca Wevin on a 7.06 as the highest average rating. 6 assists for Marcus Gomez, and a few other things to take note of as well. So first, what I will take a look at is the table. We are 10th in the table after 20 games played, 6 wins, 8 draws, 6 losses, 26 points. Probably where we realistically expected to be, a mid-table team, so I am okay with that. 14 points clear of the relegation zone. Santa Clara down there are Azores region rivals. Tables looking like Benfica, Porto, Rio Ave, Gil Vicente, Sporting, who have struggled this season, and then Casa Pia, all in kind of the striking point of Europe alongside Braga. In terms of teams that I want to show you, I think the one that we really need to look at is Porto. They have one of the most OP teams I've seen in Portugal in a long time. Evan Nielsen still here leading the line. Mikhailo Mudryk has avoided his doping ban and is a star player for Porto. Arda Güler is here on loan from Real Madrid. They got Kaminski, the great Polish talent, Bruno Guimaraes, and Milinkovic Savic as the DM combo. They got Denzel Dumfries after Inter Milan. They got Fonseca next to Marmol in the center back position, with Oliveira, the Uruguayan international, at left back, and then Diego Costa is still here. And then if you go to the bench, they got Nathan Ake, who plays a ton, a lot more over Mika Mormel, Alan Abanda, the Ecuadorian wonder kid. They got Rodrigo Zalazar, another Uruguayan talent. They got Waldemar Anton. They also have Nicola Zaniolo, who they spent an absolute bag on, 76 million this season to finalize the loan that he had from Liverpool last season. They also have Omar Soulé, who just joined on loan. They got Lazar Samardzic. So they have a ton of great players. And there's a reason why they're up at the top. But they are actually below Benfica right now, who, for them, their squad seems a little bit more tame. A lot of big names still. They got Rodrigo Bentancur. They got Lucas Paquetá. They still have Marcus Leonardo, but they got Diego Jota. They also got Ben Chilwell, which is so random. Jan Couto is also here, but there are some star power teams up in this first division. And then at the other end of it, Sporting CP have kind of just, I don't know, they haven't really done too much. They're developing their team kind of slowly. I mean, the big hero of their team, we saw last season, we knocked us out of the cup, Scotty McTominay in the midfields. They got Undav here. They got the good Saudi Arabian Abdul Hamid. Saudi Arabia. But it's just not as scary of a team as kind of Porto and Benfica are putting out there. They still got, they got players like Mateo Pessina as well, but I feel like they could do more to this squad, or at least bring in some more wonder kids that they could poach from other Portuguese teams. It just feels like they're kind of one weight class below Benfica and Porto right now. But that's enough about these other teams. You guys have came here for my team. So what I think we'll go through first is a few transfers that happened, because there's one really big one that has kind of changed the trajectory of this team this season. So on deadline day, right before it was expiring, or right before deadline day was kind of opening up, I think it was the first day of deadline day. Yeah. Andy Howard was bought by Deportiva Toluca in Liga MX. They 10 timed his salary, 1.26 million making a year now in Liga MX. And they bought him for $4 million. That was the biggest transfer that we had gotten by far. I think before that it was 2.5. So it was pretty hard to say no to that. And he wanted to go play there, I think, for the salary reasons. So we lost one of, if not our best young player on the team. And he'll probably have a really good season here in the Liga MX. I think he's going to be starting on that right wing for Deportiva Toluca. If we take a look at the tactics, it looks like that next to Carvalho, the former Fulham kid. But yeah, his value is still around the same. He's now made 7 caps for Canada, which we'll go over at the end of this second part. But yeah, we lost Andy Howard. And who did we replace him with? We replaced him with the likes of, really, this is the main guy who's going to be kind of playing in that striker attacking role, Jamie Clark from the Toronto FC Academy. He's another good prospect that was good for Toronto FC for a number of years, 3 solid seasons as a striker. I don't know if he's quite ready for first division football. He's only played 2 games. He scored a brace in a cup game that we'll go over, but then he proceeded to get injured, so I'm a little bit annoyed about that. But I think he's a good developmental striker who could take over the starting spot in a couple years over Osaze de Rosario if he develops right. Really good basis of abilities. Nothing that pops off where he's like super strong. The agility and the excel and pace are good, but could stand to improve in a number of areas, but good backup for now. We also brought in João Justinho from Woking, who is from, I believe, he's from Lagoa. So that is one of the municipalities on the São Miguel Island. We got him from Woking for 3.5 because he has good potential, and he really wasn't getting any run at Woking. We also brought in Adisa de Rosario. Remember in this, I'm Theo de Rosario, so this is my nephew in the save, and we have Dwayne de Rosario as a coach as well. So he's going to be our 3rd string keeper playing on the B team. Total Nepo hire. And then finally, we brought in Steven Rojas, a Valencia Academy free agent who is from Canada, Costa Rican, and Spanish tri-national with a lot of potential. So we're going to try and develop him on the B team. Don't know what his future holds for us, but an easy pickup because he came from a good academy. In terms of other moves that we made, we found Kevin De Bruyne, a loan out to 3rd division side Carmacha, where he's had 3 assists so far in a 7.13 average rating. He is starting on that right wing, so that's what we love to see, exactly going to plan. And then also Guy just a couple weeks ago, we loaned him out to Trofense. He's a player that we've been trying to develop for a while, one of the OG created players. But he just really hasn't found consistent run with us despite 80 club appearances over these 6 seasons. He just gets injured and can't find consistency. So I'm hoping this half-season loan at Trofense in the first division can find his form again, and then next season he can really hit the ground running with us once we kind of become an established first division team, which is our goal. So that is kind of what we're looking like in terms of transfers. Nothing too crazy. We also now are going to be bringing over the second best player from the island of San Miguel that's still active in the game. He's from Puente Delgada. João Pedro. He's going to be a good backup striker for us, playing for PAOK right now in the Greek Super League. Has been a longtime Greek veteran. Before was in Turkey, and then before that, a full career in Portugal. And was actually from the Michelense Academy, and then went to Santa Clara, which Michelense is on this island. So excited to bring him in next season. In terms of our tactics and what we're looking like, we have kind of reverted back to the 2 attacking midfielder, 1 striker, as opposed to this, and we have dropped Chonieri into our starting spot as more of a DM, and both of these guys kind of play to their strength. So this has really been the main lineup for the season. Diro has led the line fairly well, 13 goals, no assists, so he's only going to be shooting it. 10 of those have come in the league, 2 in the Alliance Cup, and then 1 in the Taça de Portugal placard. Behind him, Wevin has been one of our most consistent players. However, it seems as if he switched his nationality to Ecuadorian in hopes of joining the World Cup squad for 2030. So we will have to see what his future holds with us. Incredible, incredible value, a ton of potential, and a really good player. So he's playing next to our veteran Simon Colin, who continues to have a pretty solid season, 2 goals and an assist. Behind him, Chonieri has taken over the spot for Yannick Schultz-Tremblay, who has been a little shaky defensively as a midfielder, so Chonieri's kind of holding that down. Still joined by Carajola. On the right, Gomez has been the big surprise this season, continuing his good form in first division, was good in second division, and now is a good first division player. 6 assists, 3 goals this season, all in the league, so very happy with that. On the left wing back side, Frutuoso has gone over there. He can play either side. I don't know if the left wing back is going to be his main spot. Gomez just plays really good on the right, so we're just kind of, put him in a good position because he's less skilled and less versatile, and then Frutuoso can, kind of play on either side. Behind them, the center back combo has been very consistent. Dave Ter, Paulo Henrique, and then Alex Murray have all played well alongside of each other. Bombito has gotten in 12 times. Luke West has gotten in 14 times. So the squad is rotating. And then Abatne has gotten in 15 times, 12 times as a sub due to his versatility. Akliel has kind of lost his starting spot fairly recently. He also got a little bit of an injury during this season. But since Gomez has been so good, Akliel's kind of dropped to the bench. Same with Yannick Schultz-Tremblay losing his spot to Chonieri. Sandro G has been a good squad player like we wanted him to be. He can play both these spots, and advance forward if he needs to. LaBelle has been a little bit more quiet this season. He's, started 12, came off the bench for 10, so we're getting him in when guys are tired. And then De Gea has returned from a pretty good loan out at Pacific FC in Canada. 3 goals, 6 assists for the last place Pacific FC in the Canadian Premier League last season. But he was pretty good for them, so I would like to give him some run with the main squad for this second half of the season. I have high hopes for him as a potential player in this rotation. It's just that he's still a little bit of ways away of realizing his full potential. So I don't know what his future holds moving forward, but I know for this half season he should be with us, or at least on the B team. And then finally, Resende has gotten in for 5 games, 2 league games when Anchor was injured, and then 3 cup games. And he's been pretty good. Not good in the league, allowing 4, but in the cup, 3 games, 3 shutouts, so can't be too mad about that. And speaking of those games, we have dropped down into 10th, like I mentioned. So following that last game where Aruca and us tie 1-1, we followed that up with a 1-1 tie against Rio Ave. Andy Howard scored a goal, a 2-4 loss to Casapia, and a hat trick for Andrews Tete, the Greek striker playing for Casapia, who is the leading goal scorer in the league this season with 16 goals. Absolutely incredible form this season. We can show you we'll show you one of those goals. He's very pacey. He's a scary player. Casapia, honestly, I thought we matched up well with them, but and it was, like I said, it was matched up pretty well, but he's an incredible, incredible striker in this save. And he's been leading the line for Casapia very successfully for a while. So just calm, cool, collected, finding the space behind the runners, and yeah, knocking that one home. So 4-2 loss there, unfortunately. We backed that up with a 2-1 win against Estoril Praia, which I was super happy about. Andy Howard with that 81st minute winner. We then go on to lose 3-0 to Benfica at home, unfortunately. Kind of really the big team putting us in our place of where, we probably deserve to be. 3-0, only able to get 6 shots all game. 4 on target, though. But we'll show you how Benfica scored on us. First one, Jan Couto finds Benzinker a couple of deflections and falls to Christensen, who hits a really nice shot top right for a center back. Really like that from the Danish international. Jan Couto then comes up the right side with it. We're trying to cover. He gets it to Trincao. Jota finds the space in between Ter and Henrique and fires that home. And then finally, late in the second half, Trincao's going to run down the right side, probably dink it in, to In-Nesyri, and it's a nice goal there. So 3-0 loss against Benfica, to be expected, but, we want to put up a better fight against those teams moving forward. We then go on to win in the third round of the Cup against Fabril de Barreiro, Chonieri, and Luis Barroso. Luis Barroso is a youngster from our academy. We'd like to bring up players to the bench whenever needed. Resende with the player match of 7.95 or 7.9, but a 95th minute dagger goal for Luis Barroso, who had the goalkeeper off his line here and just hucked one home. And things you absolutely love to see for the academy kid getting his first ever senior goal. So that was very, very cool to witness that. I always love getting players like that in. And, if you look at him, he's nothing too crazy. He has some good versatility and good physical. So maybe there is something about him, but we'd follow that up with a 1-1 tie against Boa Vista, another 1-1 tie against Braga, a 2-1 loss to Gil Vicente. We would then go on to beat Atletico CP in the fourth round of the Cup. Osaze de Rosario with the only goal, a pen, despite 4 shots on target. This was the only one that was really good. And Resende, another player of the match. D-Row, calm, cool, and collected. Good pen to get us into the fifth round of the Cup. Another 1-1 tie against Estrela de Amadora, our fellow promotion team from Division 2 to Division 1 this season. They have been very, very solid, and we traded goals in the 25th and 26th minutes. We can take a look at those. Valentin Rosier up the middle to Volterar, and that's kind of the space that teams find in between our cover center back and our other defensive center backs next to him. But then we immediately answer back. Gomez dribbling, squares it for Colin, and that is one of 6 Gomez assists this season. They then get a send-off in the 46th minute, and we unfortunately weren't able to, make anything happen as a result of that. Then that would be followed up with a very, very good win, our best ever win in the season up to this point. And even if the games after, this was our best one. 4-0 against Portimonense. Andy Howard. Obviously, this is probably the game that got him on the Liga MX, scouting report. He was probably getting scouted before that, but player of the match, 10.0 in this one. First goal there, D-Row kind of falls over. Howard gets to his left foot and just hits it home. And then Chonieri to Labelle, back to Howard. Howard finds Gomez. Gomez makes one dribble move, tucks it in, bottom left. Really good goal. Howard gets the assist there. Then in the second half, Murray coming down the right. Gomez to Howard. They're connecting really well. And then Howard's going to just put a good ball in that takes a deflection. D-Row finds the space and taps it home. And then for the fourth goal, Ter, our ball-playing defender on the left side, finding Chonieri in a little bit of space. He squares it to Wevin. Wevin's searching, and he squares it to D-Row. Really good ball movement. Really what we're training on the pitch. Just good passing, and then a squared low cross into our striker, D-Row, who is there for 2. So 10.0 there, 2 key passes, a clear-cut chance, a goal, and 2 assists for Andy Howard. Obviously, we definitely feel like we're missing him because I think he would play one more game with us. This was the day that he got transferred. So right after this Porto game, where he dropped the 6.2, funnily enough, where we lost 4-0 to Porto, he would be on his way out of the team. And then we would follow his first game away with a 1-1 tie against Vitória de Guimarães. And then Alcanes in the 5th round. This is where Jamie Clark, our newest striker, who would get injured in training after this game, scored a brace. And then Luke West, the youngster who we have really high hopes for as a developmental center back, who, like I said, has played 14 games so far this season, scored a goal as well. But Chonieri dribbles that for Clark. The goalkeeper kind of spazzes and dives at it, doesn't hit it. Then In the second half, Clark with a good hold-up play, 1-2 to Lino Aklil, finds some space, good touch, and just kind of scoops it into that top right with a really calm and composed finish, so you love to see that. And then for the third goal, LaBelle to West. Nice little alley-oop off the right bar. Not how he drew it up, but Luke West is supposed to be in that spot. So 3-0 against Alcanes. And then finally, we would go on 1-1 tie against Sporting CP. Osazide Rosario scores. Clement Lenglet gets one as well. We'd beat our Azores region rival, Santa Clara, in a 1-0 win. Arthur LaBelle, 81st minute goal. I mean, I really do like this guy. He is really high on Canada's call-up list. He has one of the most caps for Canada from one of the players that we've developed. Him and Dave Terr seem to be like the two main guys they like to call up a lot. So that was a great game winner there. But then we'd follow that up with 2 losses. Alverca, sad 3-4 loss. Unfortunately, D-Row with 2 and Luca Weven with the 93rd. But, oh my God, I forgot about this. Mauricio Maninas with 3 goals. So this was a pretty crazy one. I had no clue who this dude was. 9.8 with a hat trick is kind of disrespectful. I mean, what did he do? Lose the ball like once or twice in the game, wasn't feeling it. But these goals all came in the second half. Imagine the game, you being in the game 0-0 in the first half, and then the game ends 4-3. So D-Rose starts it off, and then we would then proceed to give up 4 goals in a row. The first one, what'd I say? Right in between our middle center back and our left center back. That does seem to be a point of weakness for us. We'd then give up a penalty. Villar would score that one. Just a few minutes later, they'd play out from the back really easily, to be fair. And again, right in between those 2 defenders. So, watching the tape back, I'm realizing how much this happens. In the moment, you don't really realize, oh my God, not again, right? Look, he's in that pocket again. Okay, this one is a little bit more acceptable because, that guy kind of dribbled everybody. But Montañez with a hat trick against us, was not a fan of that. But we'd come back. Weven would put a nice little assist to D-Row, who, I mean, you're asking a lot of D-Row on that shot, and he was able to deliver. And then a 95th minute goal for Luca Weven, the Ecuadorian Canadian, trying to put the team on his back, though, but a little too late. Couldn't get that 4th goal. It was kind of like, wait, is there a moment? No, there wasn't. We would then follow that up again. Luca Weven would score a goal, but a 2-1 loss to Famalicão. So, at this point in the season, Andrews Tete is the leading goal scorer in the Portuguese top flight, followed by Jota, Abel Ruiz, and Diro. Most shutouts, Diego Costa with 12. Benfica 1 point ahead of Porto at this point. And this guy for Benfica is nasty. Australian wonder kid who had scored 9 goals in 9 and then got transferred to Bayer Leverkusen on the deadline day. So happy we don't have to play against him anymore. 22 caps at 21 for the Australian wonder kid. Really, really good player, but just some guy I wanted to take note of. Outside of that, we had some really exciting Canadian national team news as they are finishing up their World Cup qualification. So if you look at some of these teams and games, let me just show you how they're kind of lining up because we are getting a good amount of players in there. So the first game on the 29th of September, Arthur LaBelle, our very own Arthur LaBelle scored. But let's take a look at some other things. Dave Terr and Alex Murray, the starting center back combo. Arthur LaBelle starting as the 10. And then coming off the bench, Andy Howard. Those are all the guys sitting on the bench. But that's pretty impressive for our squad. LaBelle scoring a Canadian national team goal as well. Super, super exciting. But this bodes well for us moving forward into this program. I think it's fun not coaching the national team, but trying to develop guys for the national team because it kind of feels like that RNG and you're trying to get your guys noticed. So that's exciting. 2-1 win against Guatemala. LaBelle played again. Alex Murray got in. Andy Howard. Lino Aklil, our backup left back due to his run of form this season, also got in for his debut. So that was cool to see. I never really thought this guy would sniff the Canadian national team, but he was able to get a cap or 2 during this window. We also have former player Alfred Sumaharo sitting on the bench. And yeah, Dave Terr sitting on the bench. So these guys are regular players now. It's really, really fun to see. We then go on to lose to Jamaica 2-0. Tie Guatemala 0-0. And then in the November window, 3-3 tie to Curacao, where Dave Terr played again. Andy Howard and LaBelle played together. Alex Murray came off the bench. And then finally, a 3-1 win against Jamaica. Andy Howard, Dave Terr, Alex Murray, all getting in on that one as well. And if you take a look, the World Cup qualification rosters are always really big, but we have former players, Ali Ibrahimi in there, Alex Murray, our current player, Dave Terr, our current player, Alfred Sumaharo, our former player. Yannick Schultz-Tremblay, our backup midfielder, getting in there. We also have Matias Costa-Lopez, our former midfielder. We have Andy Howard, obviously. We have Guy, our player on loan at Trofense. And then we also have Jules Anthony Vilsaint, our former loanee striker. Arthur LaBelle, our current 10. Osaze de Rosario, our current striker. So a good amount of players getting in there due to our development program. So I'm excited to show you what happens as we get to the World Cup because it's very, very exciting. But let's go into the end of season recap to see how our cup run goes and see where we finish in the table. We will start here in February because that is where we left off. We're in 10th place at that point, but we would follow up those 2 losses to Alverca and Familcao with a 2-2 tie against Arouca at home. In the 6th round of the Cup, we would go on to beat Montalegre, a lower division Portuguese side, 2-0. Despite a slow start, we'd come back in this, kind of late first half, early second half, and score 2 goals. One coming from De Gea, that youngster we were trying to, get more playing time, who was at Pacific FC for the first half of the season. And then Luke West would score his 2nd cup goal here off another set piece, another developmental Canadian. So we were really happy about that. We would then go on to have a really good February. 2-2 tie against one of the better teams in the division in Rio Ave. A 2-0 tie against Casa Pia, who beat us 4-2 earlier in the season. And De Rosario continued his scoring ways despite missing a penalty in the 5th minute. A really, really good game for D-Ro. A good near post header there, looking like a set piece spammer. And then coming off here, Dave Terre back to Tremblay to Anjos, who's going to square this to D-Ro, which was a very common thing this season. He would end the season actually on 10 assists, which would lead the team. So very good season for Diego Anjos. We'd follow up that 2-0 win with another 2-0 win against Estoril Praia. And we would go on to make the Taça de Portugal semifinal, which is a 2-legged semifinal where we would tie Porto 1-1 in the first leg, and we honestly played them very, very well. It was a fairly even game, cagey defensive match, 15 shots, 5 on target between both teams, 1-1 tie. Simon Coland opened up our scoring account 15 minutes in. Again, just our wingback getting in, squaring it, Coland getting it low and hard, and Timel couldn't get hands to it strong enough, but they would come in late, and it was the $76 million man Zaniolo catching a very, very fortunate deflection from Carajola in the midfield to tie it up 1-1. And that was just the first leg, so we'd come to the second leg later. We'd follow that up with a 2-0 loss against Trofense, where, funnily enough, this is where Guy is having a great, great loan spell. And he actually assisted one of those goals, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, our very own Guy assisted that second goal. This was a nasty set piece from Felici, near post curling upwards. And then Guy, our loanee, down the left wing, beating our man here, squaring it to Exteberia. And again, another one of those deflection goals. Not much Anchor could do there. But we'd fall 2-0 to Trofense at home. We'd follow that up in March with a Benfica 1-0 win thanks to a Paulo Henrique penalty, a 4-1 win against Boa Vista where Simon Coland scored a very good hat trick, a 0-1 loss to Braga, unfortunately, but then in the semi-final second leg, we went out and absolutely dominated Porto. I would say we dominated them, despite the close scoreline. Max Anchor put up a 7.5, but we had a 2-0 win against Porto away. Colin getting it to Chonier, and he just had a little bit of magic of him in his first ever European season. Top right, curling it in, and then later, the dagger goal. Luca Wevin coming up the middle, finds Frutuoso, who puts it on a platter for De Rosario, and we would find ourselves in the final of the Cup. But a few more games left to play, and I don't want to spoil anything. Okay, perfect. Let's get there. I know we play that team. Hold on. Right there. Bang. Porto, 2-0. Gil Vicente, 1-1 tie. Acklil would get a goal. 4-0 win against fellow promoted side, Estrela de Amadora. Jamie Clark returned back from his injury to get another brace. But outside of those 2 braces, Jamie Clark was really Jekyll and Hyde this season as a backup striker. I think I'm going to loan him out next season to get him consistent playing time and use that veteran we're bringing in the summer. But a nice little tap in from Colin. 4-0 win. Very happy with that. We would then go on to tie Portimonense 0-0. Sporting CP, we would beat 1-0. Like I mentioned, Sporting CP have kind of struggled this season. I feel like their recruitment policy and kind of their Wonder Kid development hasn't been really going good for them. So I think they're kind of being left behind by Porto and Benfica if they don't change it up or make some moves. And we'll see what happens. But Weven off the post to Colin. Colin cleans it up. And then, yeah, just a 1-0 victory there. We were very happy with that. We only allowed 2 shots on target, and Anchor put up a 8.4 on both of them, including an 88th minute saved penalty. And Max Anchor, remember that. His penalty saves are going to come up very, very big in the future. Incredible, incredible save for Max Anchor right there. So, really good game there to help wrap up the season. We then go on to lose to Porto. They get their revenge on us from the Cup, 2-0. We would then tie Vitória de Guimarães 1-1. But it would all come down to this. A cup final against the team we just tied, Vitória de Guimarães. We'll watch the goals, and then I will come out of it to show you some of the other highlights that happened throughout the game. But it was insane, and we are now Europa League. We're a Europa League team for next season. So no one guarded Santos on the first goal, but then we would come out and just completely answer back here. Labale to Schultz Tremblay, finds Dero. Incredible, incredible equalizer right there. And in penalty shootout, Paulo Henrique would miss his first penalty. Orja Setter would make his first for Vitória de Guimarães. Dero would come back, make his. Serbu would make his. Clark would step up, the youngster, and he's clutch. He makes his. Unai would get saved by Max Anchor for the 4th one. Weven would bag the 5th one. Rubens gets it past Anchor. Abotne, our center back, barely gets it by Kovacevic. Makengo steps up. Anchor almost gets to that one. Murray, the center back, top right. Nuno Santos with a big run-up. Anchor guesses it, but cannot get to that corner. Schultz Tremblay, right down the middle. Cardonia to finish it off. And Max Anchor wins it for us, sending us to the Europa League. But that is not all that you missed out on. In the 28th minute of regular time, we could have gotten through this game. We gave Paulo Henrique, our best penalty taker at center back, the chance because Osaze had missed 2 in his previous games. He would miss that. However, what you didn't see in extra time to get us to that point where we could even have a penalty shootout was Max Anchor saving a 100th minute penalty to make sure we could even get to that position in the penalty shootout. I was freaking out at this point. And Rubens, it's a big save for Anchor. I mean, it was an okay penalty, but he still had to guess the side, and Rubens hit that hard. But we are now officially a Europa League team because of our cup win, and we will be playing in the Europa League in Season 7 of this save. And we'll go over some stats for the whole season before we get into something super, super special, which is the Canadian World Cup run as well. So, to finish the season, Osaze de Rosario finishes with 19 goals, 14 of those coming in the league, 5 in the 2 cups that we played. Nico Velli on loan had 8, so maybe he's an impact sub next year. Simon Colin had 8. Arthur Labale had 5. Clark had those 2 braces. Luke West, the young center back who's developed pretty well, had 3. Weven had 3 with 3 assists. Guy, well, I'm telling you, man, I think Guy's going to come around next year. Played for Trofense, 3 goals, 3 assists, and 1 player of the match through 13 appearances, 8 of those coming off the bench. They are bidding on him, but I will let you know now, he is going to decline that offer because he wants to play for Rabo de Pêche next year. Marcus Gomez, the standout right back, had 10 assists and 3 goals. Chonieri in the midfield, 3 and 3. Alex Murray, 2 and 2. Tremblay, 2 and 3. Henrique, 2 and 2. Carjola, 1 and 1. Aklil, 1 and 3. Anyos, 0 and 2. Sandro G got an assist as well. Frutuosa with 4, our captain. Dave Terre, 3 assists. Bombito with an assist, and Abotne with an assist as well. For our goalkeeper, Max Anchor, through 29 league appearances, he gave up 37 on a 7.02. 8 shutouts in his first ever season in the first division of Portugal, and is looking like a very, very good keeper, really good passer as well from that spot. Not many shutouts, but the goals prevented are very, very good for him. I would say our MVP of the season in regards to just overall play and just a guy who did a lot for us. I mean, I think it's Simon Colin. He was the most consistent for us at that attacking midfield spot, brought a veteran presence that I think wasn't really provided by other players in the squad in attack. Paulo Henrique was solid as our cover center back. I really do enjoy him in the middle. We need that type of, leadership and age to kind of help out the younger team. Osaze de Rosario proved that he could score in both the second division and the first division, so I was really happy about that. And Luca Wevin had an incredible season that hopefully we'll see him get picked for the Ecuadorian national team. So questions to be asked about that, if he'll commit to that team. And the biggest surprise of the season by far, again, Marcus Gomez just locking down that right back spot with Frutuoso on the left and just playing really, really good, making it so it's like, okay, maybe you are that guy despite your attributes, and, we're going to run with him next season again. Defensively, he does give up some certain things. He's definitely a more attacking wingback, and maybe they'll figure this out next season. But for the time being, it is his spot to lose. Guy will definitely be a part of the plans next season, I think, too. De Gea, not sure. He didn't play a ton despite coming back from Pacific FC. Resende was good when we called upon him to be our keeper as a backup. Bombito, I think, is kind of going to be phased out next year. I think that's a part of my plans. And then Lino Aklo, I'm unsure whether we want to keep him or not, because I would like to get some fresh wingbacks in too. But overall, a very good season. I'll preview some of the things that are happening as well. Flaw, one of the created strikers from the first season, is joining Colorado Springs in the USL. And I'm very excited to bring in this guy, Sean Jackson from Santa Clara, who unfortunately are getting demoted. And the funny thing is, the guy who tried to keep them promoted after their mid-season firing of Nuno Mantos was Tomer Longstick from my very own team. He left as a coach here to take over Santa Clara, didn't keep him up, so he got fired and is now going to be a 4th division coach next season. So he's already had a little mini arc in 2029-2030. Couldn't keep Santa Clara up, but he's going to try and make his own program in the 4th division, which San Jose. Jesus, I can't speak. But to get back to Santa Clara and a player, Sean Jackson, really, really versatile attacking player that I'm excited to be a backup striker and midfielder for us next season. Outside of that, I'm really not looking to add too many players. I think we got some exciting guys in our development center. If you look at some of these guys, Oliberto de Rosario. We have another de Rosario coming through the ranks. Russell Nisbet's an exciting player. Marias isn't bad. Peter Domjanovic, he's leaving. We're going to let him go. But this is what I'm most excited about. Our best ever intake in this save. Isaac G as a left wing back could be the future of that position. Kenan Dom, an attacking option, and Cut Rosino, a midfielder. I will note 3 of my chatters did change the names of these players just so they felt like they were part of the save, and I really enjoyed that. So Isaac G, the brother of Sandro G, possibly. So very, very excited for these guys. I think we finally, and like I mentioned in the intro, I think we finally hit that point where everything's really kind of coming together at the same time. We're doing well in the league. We made Europe. We're getting really good youth intakes. Next season is where we need to solidify that. Become that established mid-table team. I don't care about qualifying for Europe every season, but I want to continue to build this and get all of these going up. Youth recruitment's almost to 4, which is what we want. We wanted that to get to 5. That's one of the goals. Keep improving those. We're building a new stadium as well. The board's behind me. I'm very, very excited about this team. So, like I mentioned, 7th in the table. Porto win the league on 86 points. That roster really came together at the end. Benfica 2nd. Sporting, look at that. Rio Ave had Champions League in their grasp, but they will be joining us in the Europa League, and Braga are a Conference League team. Unfortunately, our fellow promotion side, Estrela de Amadora, go down. Santa Clara and Estoril Praia go down as well. Andrews Tete was the leading goal scorer in the league, the guy we mentioned at the midway point. Sekou Mara, one of the best players in the division, is now wanted by some Premier League teams, I know that. Was the 2nd leading scorer, tied with Andrews Tete, Evan Nielsen, and Sabalov in 3rd and 4th. Mudryk would go on to be the player of the year in this save, which is pretty incredible, despite his real life ban. But yeah, 7th place team. I expect us to hang around these spots, for the foreseeable future, just with the restrictions we have in place for this save. But I find that enjoyable, and it's really fun to develop these players. So I'm excited to see where this takes us. But before we go, I'm going to take you guys into the Canada 2030 World Cup. All right, something special to end this video. Canada's World Cup run in the 2030 World Cup. So we'll go over the team because there are a number of former and current Rabo Depeche players on there. So 3 goalkeepers they went with. Dane St. Clair, former Minnesota man who plays for Sheffield United in this save now. Owen Goodman, the Crystal Palace youngster. Max Anchor, who had 2 games in the qualifications / friendlies to get, acclimated. And it looks like he is going to be the number 1 option for the World Cup, which is exciting. It's our guy. Ali Ebrahimi, our former center back. Alex Murray, our current center back. Derek Cornelius, the veteran. Dave Terr, our current center back. Gabriel Corbo, playing center back as well. Alistair Johnson, the veteran, now in Mexico. Alphonso Davies, we know him, we love him, the wingback from Bayern. Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy on the other side. Nico Seguer, who plays for Hajduk Split. Matthias Sampao, our former midfielder, now plays for Aston Villa. Baldissimo, playing in the Bundesliga. He is a Filipino-Canadian dual national. Steven Estaquiao, playing for Nice now. Ismail Kone, the midfielder. Bryce Duke, plays for Real Salt Lake, originally from RSL's academy. Tejan Buchanan, playing for Mallorca, formerly of Inter. This one's crazy. Daibar Caicedo, who has played for Vancouver Whitecaps since 2021 and is a Colombian from birth, but decided to switch over to Canada due to his citizenship and play for them in the World Cup. Andy Howard, our old attacking midfielder. Daniel Jebison, who's still at Sheffield United. Jonathan David, now the Stuttgart striker, formerly of Lille. Ayo Akinola, playing for DC United. Ike Ugbo, a free agent, but is going to join League 2 side soon. Arthur LaBelle, our attacking midfielder. And finally, Jason Russell-Rowe. So our first game was against Norway. It was a 2-2 tie in a game where we kind of FM'd them in order to get a point. We gave up an early penalty to Erling Haaland, which, is a little bit unlucky. You don't want to gift Norway goals when they're already going to outplay us. But we then go on to equalize it in the 37th minute with a Jonathan David deflected shot on a little counterattack. In the second half, we would take the lead. Estaquiao on a near post corner gets it back to Davies, and Kone at the far post heads it home, catching the Norwegian goalkeeper off guard. But later, Nusa breaking our line and then finding Mansverk, who dishes it off to Holland for a brace, a 2-2 tie in our first group stage game. Top 2 teams from each group go through, and the top, I think, 8 third-place teams go through as well. In our second game against Iraq, we would tie 1-1, and if you look at the match stats, maybe this was the FM karmic justice not giving us the win. We gave up 1 shot on target, Max Anchor conceded it, and we had 5 shots on target, 20 in total. But we still only tied 1-1. Ali Hamadi, Anchor got hands to it, tipped it a little bit, hit it off the far post, but wasn't able to keep it out. But fortunately, right after halftime, we were able to equalize it. LaBelle to David, our very own attacking midfielder, assisting David for a 1-1 tie, getting us to 2 points. And in the final Group H game, we were able to tie Spain, and it came back. We FM'd them again to get us to 3 points. At one point in this game, we were leading. Buchanan, in the 28th minute, a wicked deflection gets by Unai Simon. In the second half, they would go on to equalize it. Zubamende, deflection, Banal falls back to Zubamende, and it's a 1-1 tie. We take back the lead in the 78th minute. Rafa Marin, a little unaware. Jonathan David takes it and just strikes one home, far post. But unfortunately, we could not keep the lead and get that second place spot. Danny Almo over everybody. Javi Guerra gets it home. But fortunately, this would qualify us in the group stage on goal difference. So this is how we got through. 3 points, 0 goal difference was the way we were able to get through all the groups. We joined Mali, Nigeria, Jamaica, Ecuador, Australia, Ivory Coast, and Saudi Arabia as the other third place teams. And look at this. Luka Wevin, despite going for Ecuador, wasn't a part of this World Cup squad. So questions to be asked moving forward about whether he's going to play for Canada or Ecuador. But let me get you on to our first elimination game. And boy, was this an insane game. We get matched up with Portugal, who is the team and nation we are developing our Canadians in, and that's who we are playing in our first knockout stage. And we beat with Dibar Caicedo getting a brace and them getting 2 red cards. So let me show you the goals first, and then I'll show you the send-offs because they're after all the goals. So in the 7th minute, so we scored all these goals with 11 on 11. So we're nothing to, Dibar Caicedo is balling against a full Portuguese squad. Volleyed off the a volley shot off the bounce into the bottom left. We would then go on to concede. João Felix gets behind our line. Nasty little deflection, bounces it up over anchor. But in the 33rd minute, Dibar Caicedo would have a moment of individual brilliance as Kone puts him in. And again, another deflection goal. So those are all the goals. And the reason we were able to stay on top of them the entire game is because 2 red cards for Portugal. The first, Thiago Jallo, a second yellow card, taking out Jonathan David in the midfield, playing way too aggressive. And then in the 73rd minute, when Portugal were pushing despite being a man down, they are going to lose a second player. Jonathan David target again, and Ruben Diaz absolutely annihilating him, and we would go on to beat Portugal. Probably one of the biggest wins in Canadian history as a national team, 2-1. And in the round of 16, unfortunately, this is where our story would end. England came out and absolutely dominated us. Callum Doyle would score the first off the set piece. Harry Kane, he thought it came off him for a moment, and then look at this stinker from anchor. Oh my God, this made me sad. Off of our own center back, and Vaughan, the new gen wing, scores an absolute sitter for England. The Fulham player, originally from Wolves. Is he dual national Portuguese? Okay, I thought he was because he came from the Wolves Academy and went to Famalicão. But yeah, that is Canada's World Cup run. We go out in the round of 16, but it was a great, great run for us. Let me load it in to show you who would go out and win, and then we can wrap up this video. All right, so just to wrap it up for you before we finish this one, I don't want to leave you on a cliffhanger for the 2030 World Cup. We would lose to England, like I said. USA and Mexico, our CONCACAF brethren, also got knocked out at the same time. In the quarterfinal, Germany took out Belgium, Uruguay beat Ireland, France beat England, and Spain beat Norway. In the semis, Germany would beat Spain, and Uruguay would beat France 1-0. Alvaro Rodriguez with a 93rd minute game winner for Uruguay. And I'm just going to warn you now, Uruguay's dream run in the World Cup may just not finish in the semifinal. They would go on to play Germany in the final and win on penalties. In a 0-0 World Cup final, Musiala and Malik Thiaw would miss penalties. Valverde, Zalazar, or Rohan Rodriguez would make them in a 4-3 win. Uruguay, despite facing 16 shots on target, Franco Israel absolutely stood on his head. That is wow, that is absolutely insane. I did not realize how many shots he faced. In an absolutely incredible finish. Former Sporting keeper, joined Aston Villa midway through last season. Wow. 7.80 World Cup run, 10.0 in the final game. Jesus. Hold on, let's see this. I did not realize this is how crazy he went. 16 shots faced, 9 handled, 6 parried, and then what is this one? 1 tipped. 10.0. And Uruguay are your champions of the 2030 World Cup. So there it is. Canada knocked out in the round of 16, and this provides a very, very good, reference point for the rest of this save. 2034 World Cup in 4 more seasons. Let's get some more Rabo Depeche players in there. Let's get some more alumni in there, and let's see if we can continue to improve this Canadian national team setup as a result of our development club. So I will see you guys in the outro. All right, so there you have it. Insanity in Season 7. 7th place in the league, cup winners that take us to Europa League, and a round of 16 run in the World Cup that sees us knock out Portugal, tie Norway, and tie Spain in the group stages. So a lot to build upon in season 7. Season 6 was absolutely incredible, a fun ride. If you ever want to see these live, like I mentioned, check out my Twitch, subscribe to the YouTube, like, comment, do all that stuff. I'd really appreciate it. A lot more videos on the way. The amount of support I've been getting on my videos has been really incredible, so I appreciate every single one of you guys. But other than that, let's continue to build Canada in Football Manager and see how long this journey can take us before FM26 hopefully comes out. So thank you guys as always, and I will see you in the next one. Peace!